Today, I'm going to be debunking 3 common and controversial relationship myths for you. Hi, I'm Dr. Taylor Burrows, retired therapist, now growth and relationship expert. Welcome to my YouTube channel. The sweet spot. The first one is chore play. Now, I hear this all the time that chore play is an aphrodisiac for a relationship that's gone stale because a woman is so overwhelmed and so stressed that seeing her man contribute to the household chores, cleaning up, tidying up, cooking, whatever, is going to turn her on. It's going to help her feel so grateful that it's going to overwhelm her with passion. No, this is not what actually happens. This is not an aphrodisiac that's going to help a woman feel attracted to you. Now, the element that is true is the respect that you have with each other, the fact that you're cohesive as a team, you know what each other needs, and you communicate well. Yes, the emotional intimacy piece is important, but you're not actually turned on by seeing your man mop or wash dishes or sweep or whatever the case may be. So let's get that clear. Chore play is not real. It's just not. If you want to improve the sexual passion and chemistry in your relationship, you have to exercise it like a muscle if it's gone stale. You have to give it time and attention, and you have to play the long game as well, because it's not just in the moment when you try to make your body function in a sexual way. It requires investment over the course of the day, the weeks, the months, where you're going to be attending to each other in a more sensual and sexual way. So a lot of that has to do with the way that you communicate to each other, and you want to make an effort to be flirty and fun and playful and use innuendo. Look at the way that you dress and make sure that you're attending to a more sensual appearance. Take care of yourself. And don't be afraid. You have to be open and vulnerable to maybe some things that you're a little bit uncomfortable about. So having that openness and receptivity to your partner is really important. Being able to bring down that wall and be courageous enough to expose yourself, right, in that discomfort. Slowing down and getting close, getting intimate. Whether that's just massaging each other and taking the time to really just be present with each other and not being afraid to say what comes to mind. Kind of role play if you have to, you know, if you just work from your own consciousness, your comfort zone, then you may not have a lot of space to explore. But if you look at some of the shadow elements that you may have, that's where they come in handy, really. These are the things that are, you know, more on the subconscious, darker side of our identity. And we can tap into those, because when we're in the bedroom with someone that we love and respect, you don't have to be so structured or rigid or limited. You can open up and reveal yourself more fully if you have those elements in place. So I fully encourage you to take the time and talk about it, but really, you know, consider thinking outside of the box and getting uncomfortable and being present with each other. Giving yourself that undivided attention is really important for your sexual intimacy. All right, myth number 2 is girls' night out. Encouraging coupled or married women to get all dolled up and wild out on this girls' night out that they do frequently or regularly with their group of girls that are usually unhealthy is not a good idea. This is not a good practice. It doesn't help your relationship flourish. So here's what I think. You should not be needing an escape from your relationship. Now, this isn't to say that you shouldn't have time to yourself. You know, whether you're the man or the woman, it's important to have time with your women friends and time with your male friends. But first of all, they need to be healthy, and they need to share your values and respect your relationship. And ultimately, you should not be seeking any validation from the opposite sex when you're going out on girls' night out. So dress up and look cute for your girls and just to be girly. But remember, you have to also respect your relationship, because if you're escaping your normal life when you're on a girls' night out, and there may be girls that are single, and that's totally fine as long as they, again, carry themselves with self-respect, they respect your relationship, and they have shared values and healthy boundaries. So when you're with them, it should still be wholesome. I mean, you may like be a little bit more silly or say or do things that maybe you wouldn't do around your family, your husband, your children, but you don't want to be a different person when you're with your girls than you are at home. Because if there's too much contrast, then I would say you're not really well integrated. So having some of that playtime with your girls should be more about expressing your femininity and doing and saying the things that you wouldn't necessarily do with your husband, because your husband is not your girlfriend, right? So you need your girlfriends to have that downtime and feminine female time, but ultimately it should not just be about acting up, acting the fool, getting validation from other men. It shouldn't be violating or threatening the boundaries of your relationship. These are really important points that you need to establish with your group of lady friends. Are you ready for myth number 3? Before I give it to you, I want to remind you to like this video. Give it a big, enthusiastic thumbs up. If you've liked what you've seen so far already, I'd really appreciate that. And definitely don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that already. So hit that bell too so that you get all the notifications for my new uploads. Myth number 3. Bachelor parties. I know I'm gonna get some pushback from some of you, so definitely put your comments below. I'm not afraid to take the heat, but having a bachelor party is like this sort of norm. It's a myth that you have to have a bachelor party and a bachelorette party, but I think traditionally it's more focused on the bachelor party. The bachelorette party can sometimes be more like a bridal shower, which is more appropriate. But for the bachelor party issue, now you need to talk to your partner, right, your future spouse, about your values around this. But ultimately, the bachelor party is less for the groom than it is for the bunch of guys that he's with, right? All of his friends really enjoy this big blowout before the wedding. So you need to kind of figure that part out, because if you choose a best man who you know is going to encourage that, and he's going to go over the top and he's going to create this kind of risque experience, then you may want to rethink who you choose as your best man. Now, this doesn't mean you have to be like all prim and proper and do something really cheesy and boring for your bachelor party, but consider and respect your impending marriage first and foremost, and talk to your future spouse about what they prefer, what the lines are, what the boundaries are of your relationship. It's not about getting permission from her. It's important for the two of you to talk about boundaries, needs, and expectations in your relationship. What are your comfort levels? What are your values around lots of different type of things? But in this particular instance, you want to talk about that well before this comes up. You know, strip clubs, flirting, like what are the lines that you're comfortable with as a team, and respect that always. It doesn't matter if it's like a special occasion. The situation can escalate outside of your control, and it can get kind of tricky and difficult to extricate yourself from. So make sure that you talk about it with your partner, make sure you talk about it with your groomsmen, your best man, and make it very clear what is off limits. But remember, choose your groomsmen and your best man intentionally, and make it very clear what is off limits, and also make it clear that this is not coming from your future spouse, that they're not saying you're not allowed to do this. This is something that's genuinely coming from you, that you're not interested in these kinds of things, that you really want to have a good time and relax and not have to worry about anything crossing a line, and that you're not comfortable with doing. I've heard some gentlemen talk about having really successful bachelor parties that had nothing to do with strip clubs. Think outside of the box, you know, whether that's cigars and whiskey, you know, playing some kind of game, going out. I've heard people like go out on some kind of camping thing, and they have like real good, you know, male bonding experiences. But yeah, I mean, I want you to really think through this properly and not just fall into the habit of doing the bachelor party at the strip club because you think that's the norm. So choose your groomsmen and your best man really carefully. Make sure you talk to your bride-to-be about your values and expectations here, and think outside of the box. There's lots of options, so don't be limited to a strip club in order to feel like you're having fun and celebrating your bachelor party. And those were the 3 myths I was debunking today. Number 1, chore play is not a thing. Number 2, girls' night out is usually a bad idea. And number 3, bachelor parties don't have to happen at strip clubs. Thanks for watching. Stick around for more from The Sweet Spot. I'm Dr. Taylor Burrows, and I'll see you next time. Ciao.